actually, I'm not a specialist, but I think the complete list is most for a century later, maybe. So we have this testimony of this dominant ideology of the 9th century, which is based on the Futuhat narratives, the conquest narratives, the narratives of the conquest, and the Sulh, who are the peace agreements between cities and the conquerors. And this ideology of the 9th century contradicts some of elements. I will just present this element, very interesting, of a boom of Christianity all over the Islamic Empire, but also in Central Asia. So I already spoke about it, of the spread of Christianity in all the Sasanian Empire that continues in the 7th and the 8th century. But we have this very famous for Syria stele of Chang'an that was from the 8th century, was built in the late 8th century, but assumes the foundation of the bishopric there in China, in the capital of China, in 635. So we are in a very good phase for Christianity. We have the life of John of Dailam. I'm sure Philip will speak about this life. And it's a testimony of a revival, in my point of view, of the missionary ideal. So a very strong Christianization. Lot of testimonies of conversions to Christianity in the Umayyad Empire, and I wanted to also to show you works on churches in the eastern part of the Sasanian world and in Central Asia that are not in this conference. So I show you the Urgut church in the middle. It's one nave church, very interesting, very Sasanian shaped church. And this one in Suyab in northern Kyrgyzstan, near Bishkek, very interesting too. And we see the same kind of architecture. So we are in this Christianity of early Islam in a period where we cannot very see the moment of the conquest. I quote Peter Pan's The Invisible Conquest. And this framework of shared festival and panegyries and feasts, sacred feasts, for example, in Deir Ayub, in the Hauran, south of Damascus, Rusafa, where the Caliph comes, and the Caliph also come in Deir Ayub. I'm sure we will talk a lot about the Umrassas case, but we have this Melkite very important foundations in Palestine, and also we will speak about the development of Miaphysite Church, of this new Miaphysite Church in Syria, northern Mesopotamia. And we have to ask all the episcopal centers in my field, all these towns, Mosul, Tikrit, Balad, Asin, Haditha are new cities in the 7th century. So if they had agreements on all the church you can find in these cities before the 650s, it's quite difficult to believe, but perhaps. So we have this archaeological framework. I'm not an archaeologist, so I will just speak of very quickly. So this very continuous urban expansion in Syria, in Bilad Sham, by Syria. Adam Websler's book is very interesting to see this framework, and we have also probable churches in the new city of Anjar. Anjar is from the 700, 710, and there is some place perhaps considered as a church. And maybe also, I'm not a specialist of Egypt, but I heard, I am not checked, that it's also the case in Helwan in southern Fustat. Maybe we will speak about this case. And we have a lot of testimony of Christian craftsmen in Al-Andalus, but also in the Middle East. In the case of Anjar, also there is a... So we will also be confronted with these two issues, but maybe tens of issues, but between the tens of issues, we were discussing this morning. So there is this issue of the synchronic iconoclasm or aniconism between early Islam in the late 1st century and early 2nd century, and the iconoclasm in the Byzantine world and in other churches outside of the Byzantine world. And the problem, which is a very important problem, I'm not sure we can solve it this week, but I think it's the main, if we should have a project on this, is there a coincidence between liturgy, Christology, and church architecture? Can we find out this issue? Can we just begin to find out, and if there are not more geographical, local specialties than liturgic specialties? I finish. Sorry. Any questions? Oui, je vais essayer de traduire, de répondre en anglais. Il y a aussi des livres juridiques sur les, par exemple, l'arbitrage qui est très important pour étudier l'état de l'Église, des impôts. Et effectivement aussi, il y a une spéciale, même si l'extrémiste par rapport à l'Ibn Ah, Ibn Taymiyyah. Ça, c'est très important pour voir le point sur l'attitude des musulmans envers les chrétiens, surtout du Vatican église et des populations. C'est deux choses qui sont importantes pour l'étude historique et aussi sociologique. I think, yeah, I can answer. No? Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes. Abu Yusuf is a very important chronological clue, because he's one of the first book, or it's an epistle for the Caliph, in fact. But it's really, you can see an opinion from a legal scholar from the 780s, and it is very important. And I quoted it in my, maybe I went very fast, but yeah, it's a very important clue, and I will speak about it in my paper, actually. Yeah. C'est à vous, oui. Vous pouvez faire votre... Yeah, no, oui. Just, I disagree with some points of your talk, but I don't want to take every point. Only one about Anjar. You know those Syriac inscriptions. Yeah, of Cameroon, yeah. Workers coming from northern Iraq. Syria or northeast Syria, maybe. But we have to think about the forced labor. And for example, there are a lot of information, for example, from the Egyptian papyrus, about the forced labor in this time, and chiefly the forced labor of workmen, artisanal work. And this could be the case. Yeah, it could be probably, in part, but maybe it could be also free men and teams, because in the inscription, if you I will speak a little bit of it in my paper, but in the description, you have all these teams with the hierarchy of the team, the priest, the diacons, and the laymen. There is really craftsmen, like, that's very interesting.
And in the there are groups of workmen exactly forced to Lego in exactly the same way.
That would be very interesting to compare in actually, and the problem, we don't have so many specialists of Egypt in this conference, and I would have loved to have more, but
I will look at the Nation Patriots.
Yeah,
and
I have.
There are the same questions of forced labor.
I never met it because I don't know, it's a big issue, but yeah. Yeah, it's permis. So you can answer. Of course. I will.